your cell phones, and don't check your email until after we're done. Please take good notes. You have a handout. I'm hoping that you printed it out and put it down next to you so that you have it to write in, because the presentation will be using the handout. And do your best to find that sweet spot between listening, writing, and experiencing. We're going to send everybody the slides, and we're going to send you also a recording of this presentation. So no worries about if you feel you missed something. You're going to get it. Nobody's going to miss anything, and it's going to be perfect. Beware of arrival syndrome. What do I mean by that? Be ready to revisit concepts that you've previously heard with a willingness to learn something new. Oftentimes, it was in the 8th, 9th, or 10th year I heard of something that I had an epiphany with it. Because there's a big difference between intellectually knowing something and experientially experiencing it, right? So be willing to hear and learn something new out of a concept you might have heard before. Just because we hear of something doesn't mean we know it. This is a safe space. Please be present, stay open, and participate as openly as you can. You're going to hear some things this morning. We're going to be sharing some uncommon knowledge. Some of you have heard these concepts before. For some of you, it's going to be completely new. And oftentimes when we hear something new, the ego can get triggered. So if you get resistance around a concept you hear, that may be the most valuable thing of the day. The thing that's preventing you from really living your soul purpose fully is that ego thinking mind. Okay, so when the ego gets triggered, that might be the most valuable thing for you. So if you're feeling the ego triggering and resisting, please stay open. You're going to be doing some exercises with some other people. We're going to randomly put you in rooms with people. So who you're with, that's perfect as well. Please positively support each other. Do your best to refrain from negatively judging. If you're in a breakout session with somebody that you know, it's funny, was in a breakout session with somebody that I had a little disagreement with. There's 40 people on the Zoom call, and they do a partner exercise. And who is the person that I'm doing the partners exercise with? The person I had the disagreement with, but it was perfect and terrific, okay? Uncommon knowledge, which is what we're sharing this morning, is often received with paradigm shock or paradigm blindness. So I'm going to ask you to be willing to suspend judgment and disbelief. The things that I'm sharing with you this morning, I'm not going to say they're true, and I'm not going to say they're right. But I have experienced these things personally, and many of you and thousands of other people I know that we've worked with over the last 30 years have experienced some of the things that may be hard for you to believe currently. So I'm just going to ask you, I'm not going to say what I'm saying is truth, and I'm not going to say what I'm sharing this morning is right, but I will promise you that it is useful and it is functional. And so if we can understand what I mean by moving beyond right and wrong, to be looking into what is useful for my practice, what is useful for my life, how can I usefully and functionally grow my abundance this year and increase my prosperity thinking. So our intention today is to help you realize in your life and in your practice what is not working and to take ownership of it so that you can make the changes that fulfill your life purpose and help you get what you really want. Now, in the last module, we did a bunch of goals. We ran through them pretty quickly. Some of the homework was to revisit those goals. So we're not going to go through goals per se. What we're going to go through today is how you can accomplish those goals this year in a balanced way. Now, every time you do that, what you're going to see is what is not working in your life so that you can take ownership of it and make the changes that fulfill your life purpose and help you get what you really want this year. And so we're going to do a different kind of meditation this morning. I'm going to talk about the power of intention. And intention is a conscious choice. And so I'm going to ask you to consciously allow you to share a series of intention affirmations, intention statements. And our meditation this morning, because we always begin, I began with intention, and now we're going to say some intentions for us together. And I'm going to ask you to put your hand on your heart. I'm going to ask you to listen to the statement. I'm going to say a series of 20 or 30 of them. And I'm going to ask you to listen to the intention that I say with your hand on your heart. You may just sit back in a meditative state with your eyes closed. And then I'm going to ask you to slowly repeat it silently in your mind. Okay? So let's just sit back, hand on your heart. If you're left-handed, make it your left hand. If you're right hand, make it your right hand. And here we go. I pray for the wellness of our citizens and the welfare of our country. I expect and receive miracles. I think both and rather than either or. I focus on what I want, not what I don't want. What I focus on expands. I am worthy and deserving to receive. I no longer prove worth, but rather provide value. I have a big why. I am a big who. I know who I am. I am a divine being with a divine purpose. I have important gifts to share in the world. I add extraordinary value in the world. I am guided by infinite intelligence. I create great value, and dollars follow value. I am a money magnet. There are no problems, only opportunities to grow. I can handle any challenge when and if it arises. I am enough. I now see opportunities I did not see before. There is more than enough for everyone. I take successful baby steps. This leads me to accomplish big things. I am always moving forward. I make the right decision no matter what. My affirmations work, whether I believe in them or not. The more people I serve, the richer I become. I am willing to do what is hard. My word is law in the universe. I bless all my fellow countrymen and am grateful to live in our country. I am standing united with my brothers and sisters in the United States. And if you're not in the United States, I want to bless your country. If you're in Mexico, I want to send blessings to our Mexican brothers and sisters. If you're in Canada, I want to send blessings to our Canadian brothers and sisters. And I'm going to count backwards from 5 to 1. And when I reach 1, I just want you to open your eyes and stretch, and we'll continue. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just give yourself the opportunity to stretch for a minute, allow your body to assimilate that frequency, because the frequency of those words carries a different energy than some of us are used to thinking. And we want to be able to really be gentle as we assimilate those energies. I also want to do a review, but before I do that, I'm knowing that all of you noticed that I spoke about our country. And what I want to say is, we're going through an interesting time in our country, and I want you to hold it in your higher self as something that in the long run is very good for our country. I want to bless the outgoing administration. I want to bless the incoming administration. I want all of us to recognize that certainly we know we can see through the lens of the lower self all sorts of problems, right? And through the lens of the higher self, we recognize that as something new is being born, almost like a child being born, and most of you are parents, have witnessed childbirth, and it's messy and it's scary. And as the baby's coming down the birth canal, mom's in pain and there's a lot of suffering. And we're going through those paroxysms right now in our country. You have a very high frequency, each one of you, as mission-driven beings, and those of you that may not be mission-driven yet, but aspiring to be, you're in the right place. And so what I want you to do is really hold the highest intention that you can for our country. So let's move on and let's do a review if we can, because I want to just talk about why meditation is important. It helps you respond to problems from heart wisdom instead of mental frustration. It allows you to shift your focus from the head, where we are often stuck in the ego thinking mind. And it's easy to get angry and afraid, and move from the head to the heart. The heart is the place where love resides and joy. And it also, now we know scientifically that the heart sends an electrical charge that's bigger than the brain. So the heart truly is, we're starting to understand it's acting like a second brain. And if you've never done any research into this, research the HeartMath Institute and find out the research that they've done that proves that you actually do shift into a different frequency energetically through meditation, in the ability to choose love sent from the heart. It sends the signal to the brain to create value and to focus on something positive, a solutions focus in the face of a negative situation. So this is not rhetoric. I used to say it 30 years ago and it was rhetoric, okay? Meaning it was unproved scientifically, it was still useful. Now it's been proven scientifically by the HeartMath Institute, and the owners of that company are friends of mine. And I've been able to study with them and read their books. So I highly recommend, checking into it if you have any doubt. And this is an actual slide that the owner of the HeartMath Institute sent me about how meditation helps you shift from frustration to appreciation. And look at the frequency of the heart rhythms. And when the heart rhythms are incoherent, the brain is in fight or flight mode, and we literally get dumb. Because what happens is the brain epigenetically turns on stress hormones. And you have cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine flowing through your body, and your sight narrows. You're in fight or flight mode. When you're in appreciation and gratitude, one of the greatest things you can do to be building your abundance is a gratitude journal every morning. And we'll talk about this a couple times throughout the day today. You're not only in coherent heart rhythms, but your vision literally expands because you're going through wellness hormones epigenetically triggering genes that were dormant in the DNA chain, where you have dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins flowing through the body. And that's why I always open with a meditation. We always open with an intention. We always open with intention statements. And we're doing this intentionally to put you in coherent heart rhythm states. Now, my suggestion as a business tip is to make sure you're leading with intention with your clients, that you begin each meeting by saying, hey, let's talk about a couple wins that have happened in your life recently. Hey, I want you to know why I'm here. Jenna referred me to you, told me how great you are, how your kids are in daycare together, told me what a great family you are. I want to share something with you that I shared with Jenna and Ben that I think will make a huge difference in your life and help you enjoy your money more now and have more spendable income in retirement. That's why I'm here. Now, I just made up an intention on the spot, but if you are not leading with intention, you are missing an important point about building abundance and prosperity in your life. Okay, so this is an important point. When you lead with intention, you are putting people in an open state of receptivity. You are putting them in a state of appreciation. You are putting them in a state of triggering coherent heart rhythms, and their heart is sending the trust vibration to the brain so the brain can receive value. Now, some review, what we did last time we were here on December 4th. The ABCs of prosperity, the A was the awareness of choosing your lower self or your higher self. Okay? We've seen the higher self on display in us and in others. Do not vilify or condemn it. Stay in your higher self. The B in the ABCs of prosperity is beliefs. Are my beliefs coming from scarcity or prosperity? The essence of scarcity is that I am not enough. And when I believe I'm not enough, I will constantly send a vibration of not enoughness. And then I won't have enough clients. I won't have enough money. I won't have enough referrals. The inner world is creating the outer world. You are enough. You have a great purpose on this planet. And when you're enough, you then trigger the prosperity mindset. And finally, what we're going to be talking about is choosing to identify the C, is choosing to clarify by tracking your KPIs. And this is really, really important. To track your KPIs is going to be critical. What are KPIs? Key performance indicators. Key performance indicators. So we did the A and the B in module 1 and set goals. Now we're going to be choosing to identify, to clarify, and act on and track your key performance indicators. And I'm going to tell you, it is not for the faint of heart. When you develop that habit, you will be well on your way to prosperity. So we've talked about, and this is review from last time. Some of you were not here, so welcome if you weren't here. For those of you that were, this is review, but I have to tell you that this is intentional. This is a pedagogical teaching model of spaced repetition. We did this a month ago. Now we're here in a new year, doing it again. Prosperity is directly dependent upon your mindset. We are born in scarcity. If you do not input the prosperity paradigm, okay, you will stay in scarcity, you will believe you're not enough, and you will experience not enoughness. One's mindset is constructed with beliefs, reinforced through creative language, changed through the power of intention and conscious choice, manifested through action. Is just stating an intention statement enough? No. It's choices, thoughts, words, and action. Without the action, it will not manifest. Now, ignorance of scarcity beliefs and language drives lack. Ignorance of scarcity beliefs. We are born in scarcity. We all got it. It's a permanent feature of human life. So you must recognize your scarcity beliefs and that scarcity language that's being spoken inside of you, because that is driving your thinking, drives your speaking, drives your doing. Your thinking drives your speaking, drives your doing. So be careful of the thoughts. Half of the thoughts that we think are beliefs put there by others who are miserable. We don't even know it because we just put that program in at age 10, at age 20, at age 30, at age 40. If you put in a scarce program, what else can run but scarcity in your mind? If scarcity is running in your mind, what else can run out of your mouth but scarcity? If scarcity is running out of your mouth, fear, doubt, and worry, energy and frequency, what will you draw as a vibration back to you? What will you attract when you're vibrating that? Lack. So intention is a conscious decision to input prosperity beliefs and speak power language, driving abundance. Now I'm going to, again, jumping through these things. I'm reviewing, but you're also saying to yourself, some of you that know this intellectually are saying, yeah, but I'm still experiencing that same frequency. Okay, good for you. The universe doesn't speak English or Spanish or French or Italian. The universe speaks vibration. If a truck drove by this house and somehow the frequency of the tires on the roadbed match the frequency of the picture on the wall, that picture is going to vibrate. The universe doesn't speak a specific language only. It speaks frequency and vibration. And so if you're vibrating scarcity while you're saying things about abundance, you're still going to get scarcity. You want to vibrate that frequency through your thoughts, words, and actions. So again, review. Scarcity is a permanent feature in the physical world. If you think I'm kidding, Watch the TV show on the History Channel, Naked and Afraid, right? They drop two people back, in the middle of Africa, in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of Colombia, in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of, the desert in America, in the middle of nowhere, and they struggle to live for 21 days because food is scarce, water scarce, game is scarce, shelter scarce. Prosperity only exists in the metaphysical world, the inner world of thoughts, beliefs, and feelings. Your inner world, your thoughts create your outer world, your things. That's why we affirmed this morning, my thoughts become things. Scarcity is the default mode of human being. So if we don't consciously choose prosperity and abundance, what will you default to? Scarcity. Intention is a conscious choice. It is a mindful state of being that cultivates awareness. The more you meditate, the more you say intentions, the more your awareness grows, expands. You see the ways you act in fear, doubt, and worry and scarcity, and then you can correct it. You must practice hard, easy to do so. It's hard to do this work. It's easy to default to scarcity and blame others. It's hard to see your scarce beliefs, surrender them to God, and choose love by acting in service to another human being. So you practice hard, easy by choosing the higher self over the lower self. You choose love over fear, and you're making this hard, easy choice every single minute. And of course, the principle of hard, easy is that every second you make a decision. If you take what appears to be the hard path, you make your life easy. That's the baby step we're talking about in the affirmation and intentions. Every invention and innovation began as an intention inside of a human being from their God self, from their higher self. Inside of you, the higher self is linked to the Creator, to God. God's always whispering to all of us. The question is, who's listening? When I'm in my lower self, I can't hear that voice. Fear, doubt, and worry and scarcity blocks it. When I'm in my higher self, I literally hear the voice for God. And it is the source of all innovation and invention. It begins as an intention from your higher self. You turn those thoughts into action steps or KPIs, which creates favorable conditions for success. If you're not doing that, you're not acting in harmony with the model. Okay, the prosperity model is I create my reality through choice, thought, word, and action. I am co-creating my reality right now with you. We're co-creating it together. We're doing it with our team. We're doing it with our clients. There's a whole team around me right now monitoring what's going on. And right, so I can't do it without the team. I can't do it without you. We need each other. And that's a beautiful thing because your soul purpose serves me and my soul purpose serves you. And we call that the divinity of diversity. That we all have diverse soul purpose talents. What you're strong at, I'm weak at. What you're weak at, I'm strong at. And concomitantly, we are designed to serve each other in this way. But if you don't track your KPIs, which are uncomfortable and hard to do, you are not fulfilling this law of creation that says, I co-create my own reality through choice, thought, word, and action. Let's just write that down for a minute because that's a real formula for success. I co-create my own reality through choice, thought, word, and action. Intention is a conscious choice. It precedes thought. Because beingness precedes thinkingness. As a baby, you existed before you could even think. So that is being is conscious choice, right? I co-create my own reality through choice, that's being, thought, that's thinking, word, that's speaking, right? My choices and thoughts are coming through the language to you, through doing, that's action. And so turning your thoughts into action steps and KPIs is what creates favorable conditions for success. You live in a supportive universe in which the success you seek is also seeking you. And finally, you cannot control events, only your responses to the event. So remember, we talk about this as the law of responsibility. An event occurs, how you respond will dictate the outcome. The event will not dictate the outcome unless you respond negatively. Then it'll be a negative event. It is always your responsibility that will dictate the outcome. So we're going to move into today's new material. I just reviewed everything we did on December 4th. Now we're moving into some new material. And I want to talk about the state of the world, not just the state of our country, but the state of the world. Because this statement, when my spiritual teacher who taught me this, who was Dr. David Hawkins, he passed away about 10 years ago, taught this to me, my brain just instantly knew it was true, and a ton of resistance came up in my ego. We do not see the world the way it is. We see the world the way we are. We see it through the lens of our confirmation bias. We have a series of cognitive biases. We don't know that. We think we see the world clearly. We don't. Your level of conscious awareness dictates how you see and experience the world. I have a guy that works at an insurance company, and he works with a team of people. He and his team wrote $1.5 million of premium last year, which is a big number. Somebody in the office next door, in the exact same environment, with the exact same training, the exact same warm market and community around him, struggled to write $50,000 of premium. Why? One person saw the world one way, opportunity, possibility, even though there's a pandemic, even though the election, even though all this contentious stuff, right? The other person said, oh, I can't possibly think about business. I can't, it's a pandemic, the election. I can't. Neither is wrong or right, but one is useless and one is useful. And this is what I mean about the state of the world. We do not see the world the way it is. There is more opportunity and possibility right now than ever before in the history of this planet. And it will be your level of conscious awareness that dictates what you see and how you experience the world. And there are 5 basic modes of being, resulting in 5 very different experiences of the same world. 5 different modes of being, resulting in 5 very different experiences of the exact same events in the exact same world. And we're going to explain, and I'm going to do the 5-step model of the Stairway of Selves. Now, many of you know in our 2-day symposiums, we do the 12-step model. Today, I'm going to do the 5-step model, just for simplicity's sake, and it's still very useful. So go to page 3 and fill this out. All right, what you'll see at the top of page 3 is you'll notice that people in fear mode, they're at the first entry level of leadership. How do they see the world? As a battlefield. What is their life result? Fighting. They're fighting a battle. Do not blame people in this mode. We've all been there. Even if some of you are in love mode at the very top on step 5, very few, but some are on this call. Doesn't mean you've transcended fear. It doesn't mean you never will feel fear again. When you go up the stairway, it merely means you have a greater ability to deal with negative emotions. Doesn't mean you've ever transcended them. Why? You still have a human form. Now notice the power level. Barely can light a bulb. How can you run a business if you don't have enough power and energy to light a 30-watt light bulb? And notice the listening level. When you're talking to someone in fear mode, it's like they have earwax. They can only hear 1/5 of what you're saying, 20%, right? What gets you out of fear? The desire to be better. Inside of you is a noble desire to live your soul purpose. And so desire is a step up from fear. You're right. We see biblically this statement, the beginning of all wisdom is fear of the Lord. Well, yeah, in fear mode, to get out of victim, you want to jump out, right? And then you get up into desire and look, your listening goes way up, way up. You can hear 1/3 of what's actually there. But you still see the world as a trap. Why? Because you're wanting things. It's like the analogy I'll give you here is someone that wants to lose weight never seems to keep the weight off. They yo-yo diet, right? They want, but the wanting sends the frequency that I don't have what I want. And when you're sending a frequency of I don't have it, what vibrates back to you in the law of sympathetic resonance is more of what you don't want. That's why the affirmation that I said this morning was I focus on what I want, not what I don't want. Never lose weight, release it. Never go on a diet. Find the human diet and stay on it. Find your menu for life. And look what happens to the power level, right? It's up from 30 watts to 100 watts. That's a pretty bright light bulb, but certainly not enough to run an abundant life. Why? Because we're still in falsehood and we're still in force. And what happens when you want to get out of desire mode is you start to take pride in yourself. You recognize I'm not entitled to anything anymore. Come on, man. And your teachers say, dude, take pride in yourself. The beginning of pride is a very good thing. But pride is like a hinge on a door, right? It swings both ways. What starts as good can make you think that you're better than other people. And you're no better than anyone else. I'm no better than anyone else. I'm no better than the homeless man on the street. And the saint that has got 1 million followers in India is no better than me. But look what happens to your listening level. You actually can hear half the time. But you see the world as a private chessboard, and you have no problem manipulating people. And this is the problem when we see folks who have a great position of authority in pride mode manipulating people. They've got a high level of power. They've got a position of authority. And yet they're using the world as a private chessboard, and people are merely pawns upon it. Do not vilify. If you notice this, recognize this exists in me. How do I get out of pride? By recognizing it, by seeing it's a facet of the ego. The Buddha himself said, the first noble truth is that human life is suffering because we have an ego, and everything born will eventually die. And so human life is suffering because trying to transcend the ego is very difficult. And the truth is, 80% of the world is caught in the red modes, which are scarcity, worshiping falsehood, vibrating negativity, thus causing force to crush their life. Because we live in a universe of vibration and attraction, don't we? In which whatever I vibrate, I attract. And if I'm vibrating manipulation, force creates counterforce and is in constant need of resupply, right? Gandhi versus the English army. Gandhi had love. The English army was in pride, manipulating the Indian people, colonializing all of the East. The English army had more money, more soldiers, more weapons, more mechanized trucks, howitzers, cannons. They fought Gandhi with everything they had. Here's a little brown man with a bag of rice in love mode against the whole English army. Who won? When power and force collide, power always wins eventually. Takes time, but we are now living in the revelation of truth consciousness. Truth consciousness now. We have crossed the line as a world for, hundreds of thousands of years in the lower modes. We're now moving into mission mode. Look at the listening level. Virtually everybody on this call is in mission mode now. Doesn't mean you don't fall back into pride, desire, and fear. You do. But we're going to give you the formula how to get out of it. And what you do then is you get out of it by saying, when something negative is occurring, there's a lesson in front of me here. I'm seeing the world as a classroom, as a school. And when I learn the lesson, I get fulfilled, even if something negative has occurred for me to learn that lesson. But more importantly, look at the power level. It goes from 1,000 watts to 10,000 watts. So now you're able to run a team. Why? You have more power. You have more power to delegate. You have more power to create more value. And finally, though, in mission mode, we are still attached to the outcome of things. And what happens, it's pulling us higher. Our attachments in mission mode pull us to love. And we go, look at the listening level in love mode, 97%. You're really hearing people, and you're not just hearing people, you're intuiting what they're thinking. This week I had, 20 or 30 coaching calls, and several times someone said to me, I don't know how you knew that about me, but ... It's because I'm hearing not just their words, but I'm hearing their feelings, and I'm intuiting what their emotions are. And so in love mode, you experience the world as a spiritual hospital in which everybody's come here with kind of amnesia, saying, who am I? Why am I here? Where is this here? What is this place? And when you see the world this way, then you no longer vilify people. You see everybody's doing their best, given their consciousness level, knowing that 80% of the people you're walking by are down in fear, desire, and pride, and experience deep, deep scarcity and uncomfortability. But you also see God's hand in the world. You see a perfection moving through the revelation of truth consciousness, in which we are here to serve and empower each other. And the power level goes off the charts. That's why you're able to see somebody out of love. Let's take Gandhi, run this whole movement, right? Dr. Martin Luther King ran a whole movement. We see the movement of the curing of racial disparity in our country. There's a whole movement happening, not just in Black folk, in white people, in understanding Indigenous people, and in really the revelation of truth. And it's becoming very powerful and touching us all. So what does this look like? What are the attributes of the modes? In fear mode, we panic, overreact, emotionalize, dramatize, ignorant, see enemies constantly. We harbor things. We fight, we blame, we quit, we lie. We're irrational. This is the reptilian brain. In desire mode, we've evolved a little, but still we avoid, defend, exaggerate, crave. We're stubborn. We pretend. We're controlling. We addict to things. We complain, fantasize, and we're impractical. Impractical, right? In pride mode, we bully, seduce, exploit, force. We're arrogant. We dominate. We expect. We manipulate, demean, compromise, deceive, and disrespect others. Because lying is smart in these modes. We worship falsehood. We don't worship truth. And I've been there, so I know. Now we move into mission mode, the age of reason, okay, where science came online. We learn, we serve, we help, we influence, we experience confidence, we respect, we explain, we attract, we understand, negotiate, we reveal, and we're believable. Have we transcended all those other things? No, we can still default to them. But you can't go up when you're in fear, desire, and pride without the tool of intention. And finally, love. Love is forgiving, inspirational. Love creates, empowers, is humble, teaches, uplifts, manifests, transcends, synthesizes, enlightens, and is impeccable with our word. And so you can see where you're going. You are going to love. Nothing can stop it. So let's do an exercise to help you experience this. What we're going to be doing is you're going to be climbing the stairway of selves, which we just went up. You're going to be talking about it in your group. And you're going to be on page 3 here. And in groups, you're going to be put into groups of 4. And you're going to answer one at a time and then discuss the following. Okay? First question, you'll see, what is the highest step that you mostly live on? The highest step you mostly live on is, okay, the issue that still pulls you down into fear is, what's the big issue that keeps coming up for you, that keeps pulling you into fear? If you can look at that one issue, recognizing that is your biggest challenge to the prosperity paradigm, to living the abundant life. And finally, you'll see, what is my life mission? And you're going to write your life mission. So you're going to, in groups of 4, you're going to be put arbitrarily by the team into groups. You're going to answer one at a time and then discuss these 3 questions, okay? So just be patient for a moment. Ready, set, go. What I'd like you to do now is go to page 8, the last page, action steps, and write down a takeaway from exercise 1 in the right blank. Go to page 8, the very last page, right? And in action steps, and write down a takeaway from exercise 1 in the blank that feels right to you. There's 5 blanks there. Choose the right one for you. It's this action step page that's going to be really important. And I'm going to take a minute and allow you to do that. You might write it in number 2, to grow your business success. You might write it to create greater inner peace. Or it might be around making a bigger difference in the world. I commit to lead with my mission, which is to blank, right? So what we're going to do is, after you write down in your action step page your takeaway from exercise 1, we're going to go on break, and we're going to take a 10-minute break, and we're not going to be pausing for lunch here, right? So we're going 10 to 1 Eastern time. And, you're not going to have lunch till 1. So my suggestion is get some snacks, grab a snack, grab a cup of coffee or some water or some tea, do a bio break, take a stretch. We're going to come back here right at 11:20 Eastern time, 10:20 Central, 9:20 Mountain, 8:20 Pacific. So if you finished writing, let's go on your 10-minute break, and let's be back here. I'll begin again 20 minutes after the hour. Great job, everybody, and see you in 9 more minutes. So it's 11:20, 20 minutes after the hour, everybody. So I want to thank you again. If you just got here, some of you just got here. For those of you that have been here from the beginning, I'm so honored. Let's keep going, and let's move in to start to talk about something that's really important. I wrote Prosperity Paradigm in 2006. I republished it in 2007. And I spoke about money in the book, and I spoke about a distinction between money and currency. And this is really, really powerful information, because money is your knowledge, your sole purpose, your specific knowledge, delivering value and service to people in the market. That's your money. Currency is a barter tool, right? Created by our governments. In Mexico, it's pesos, right? In the United States, it's dollars. In China, it's yen. And in France, it's francs, and so on and so forth. Currency is a barter tool, a social agreement acting as a medium to facilitate marketplace exchange. Currency is really a debt tool, a debt resolution tool. Money is your knowledge serving people in the market. When you serve people your knowledge, it becomes wisdom. Knowledge has no meaning if it's not applied, right? If we had a cure for cancer, let's hope it's on the way soon, but we never got it to people that have cancer, it wouldn't be valuable. Knowledge is the same way. Knowledge is only valuable when it's applied. And that is your money. Your money is your sole purpose wisdom. It has great human life value. Okay, human beings are the carriers of value. Currency has little intrinsic value, no human life value. What do I mean by that? Because it's a barter tool, a debt tool, it's critically important. I don't want to underestimate the importance of currency, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But this is important for you to understand what your money is. Your money is your sole purpose. But it's not going to result in you getting more currency back if you don't serve people in the market with your value. Okay, and what I mean by currency having no intrinsic value is if I gave you $1 million, right, and had it in a briefcase, it'd be pretty heavy, and stuck you in the middle of the Sahara Desert, 50 miles from anywhere or anything, what is that currency worth? And of course, the answer is nothing. Now, it might keep you warm at night because the desert's cold at night and brutally hot during the day, but it has no real value, right? It only has value as a social agreement when we all agree to honor it as legal tender. Money is irrevocable by governments. Nobody can take your money away from you because it's your knowledge. Remember, it has no value until you serve somebody that knowledge. Currency is revocable by governments. Right? We've all seen the picture in Ethiopia when the Ethiopian banks went down and the little kids are running down with wheelbarrows of hundreds of thousands of dollar bills that are worth nothing, right? Because their currency went bankrupt, right? Money is immune to markets. This is so powerful. Your knowledge, you are knowledge workers. Okay? Currency is prone to market fluctuations, good and bad, right? Inflation, right? Bad. Bitcoin, if you own Bitcoin, which I do, very good. We're doing really well in Bitcoin because the market's up, right? So, but your money, no one can take from you, right? Henry Ford went bankrupt in 1929. One of his students came up to him and so one of his workers came up to him and said, you know, you're not going to kill yourself, are you? Because people were throwing themselves during the, Great Depression and the failure of the stock market out the windows on Wall Street. He goes, what, are you kidding me? I know how to do it. I'll be a millionaire again. 1932, he was a millionaire again. 2 years. He never lost his money, which was his knowledge, but he did lose all his currency. Money is the cause of value creation. Currency is the effect of value creation. Ah, you want to see this now, huh? Aha. Let's I apologize for not screen sharing. We will get there. Thank you for telling me, Alicia. There we go. Perfect. If you can see my screen now, just give me a thumbs up. Yay. Hi, Jane. Nice to see you. Okay, so money is your sole purpose wisdom, delivering value and service to people in the market. Currency is a barter tool, a social agreement acting as a medium to facilitate marketplace exchange. Money has great human life value because it's your knowledge. It's human wisdom. Human beings are the carriers of the God self, the carriers of value. Currency has no intrinsic value, no human life value. Outside of people to exchange it with, currency has no value. Currency is revocable by governments. Money can't be taken, can't be revoked by a government. You're a knowledge worker. You can't be put out of business. People with restaurants can. Breaks my heart for them, right? Money is immune to market fluctuations. Your knowledge will always be increasingly worth more the more people you serve with it. Knowledge is only wisdom when it's applied in the market to serve others. I'm going to come back to that point. Currency is prone to market fluctuations. Money is the cause of value creation. Currency is the effect of value creation. So if you cause more value, dollars follow. Dollars are currency. Money must be earned. It cannot be stolen, lost, or inherited. Currency may not be earned. Currency can be stolen, lost, or inherited because it's a debt tool. That's why we have banks, bank robberies, right? Or people online stealing money. We see it all the time. But your knowledge can never be stolen. So when you know who you are and you know your why and you know your mission, you are increasing your knowledge and you lead with clients with that intention. And you ask them, what does value look like here today for you? When you lead with intention, you're putting them in the heart space of building trust. Then they have an emotional response to you, which is they open. And then you ask them what I call trust builder and value creator questions. What's on your mind today? What would be valuable for us to talk about today? What would a major win be if we walked out of the room an hour from now and you said, this was a fabulous meeting, Steve, right? And what you're doing is you're getting them to declare value. And then when you give them, the cause of value creation is your knowledge. Your knowledge. What do they pay you with? Currency. And it's critical. Currency is very, very, very important. Okay. And why is currency important? Because currency, when you're no longer putting your knowledge in the market, that's called retirement. You will then be only living off of your currency. You're no longer living off of your knowledge. You're retired. And if you haven't saved enough currency, your lifestyle will take a big hit. And so don't ever think I'm saying currency is not important. It's critically important. Okay. In fact, when we look at, I call prosperity economics, and my friend Kim Butler and her husband Todd Langford run a company called Truth Concepts. And they have a program that is an online planning program that's excellent. And she called me up after I wrote Prosperity Paradigm. She read the book and she said, can I use this prosperity economics term? I go, yeah. She now calls her company Prosperity Economics. But when you really look at the story, our earliest stories from the cognitive revolution, and I'm going to take you through because we are now moving into a new revolution. We're moving from the cognitive revolution, the Stone Age, right, through the agricultural, that was cognitive revolution was 60,000 years ago. The agricultural revolution was 50,000 years ago, the Bronze Age, the Grain Age, and moving into the Dark Ages, which were a low point in human history, which ended with the so-called Enlightenment or Information Age and the Scientific Revolution, which we are ending right now. And we are moving into what I call the Transformational Revolution, which is the age of service. So we're moving out of the information age, where information is God, right? No, it's not. God is God. And when we're serving other people value, the more service we create, the better we feel about ourselves, and the more currency we make. Money is the non-linear aspect of exchange. We are teaching a new model of capitalism. You know, we hear people that talk about capitalism being horrible. Capitalism, when done in conscious fashion, and I'll explain what I mean, is one of the greatest blessings humanity's ever seen. Crony capitalism is not good. Crony capitalism is what people in pride, desire, and fear on the stairway of selves practice. Those are win-lose exchanges. People that know that the other party's losing, but they don't care if they win. That's crony capitalism. Conscious capitalism is win-win or no deal. And that's why we're teaching you to build trust through these, asking people what their wins were, leading with intention, then asking them what's valuable for them, which then creates value, and trust times value equals win 3. Win 3, the client wins, you win, and society wins. Your company, the building owners, the janitor, the community, everybody wins in conscious capitalism. Money is the non-linear aspect of exchange because it's a feeling. It's a feeling called service. How do you feel when you made a difference in your client's life? Don't you feel amazing? That's money. Currency is what they pay you with. They don't take the feeling at the bank. They don't take love at the bank. They want currency. Because currency is the linear aspect of exchange. And in conscious capitalism, I want to say this slowly, and I want you to write it down. It's the law of exchange. It's every relationship that we have in our life, your relationship to your spouse, your relationship to your significant other, your relationship to the mirror, your relationship to your brother, sister, boyfriend, girlfriend, clients, business owner, building owner. You're exchanging with all of them. And the law of exchange says this: conscious exchange creates wealth. Unconscious exchange destroys it. Conscious exchange creates wealth. That's conscious capitalism, where I am making sure you win. It is my responsibility for every person on this call to win today, because you're exchanging with me. You're not exchanging currency. What are you exchanging? Something much more important. Your energy and your time. Your energy and your time. Those are two very, very, very important things. Your energy is your mental capital. You're investing it in us right now and in yourself, most importantly. So money is the non-linear aspect of exchange. Currency is the linear. You can see it. Linear means you can touch it, right? And it pays for all the things that you need in the material world in which scarcity dominates. You need that linear currency to pay for your home. It's a linear thing. Your car, it's a linear thing. Your clothing, it's linear. Your food, it's linear. But everything we do in a linear capacity is to experience a non-linear aspect of exchange, which is called happiness, success, confidence. And the truth is, the more value I create, the more currency I have, the more confidence I have, the more goods and services I can have, the more privacy I can have, the more homes I can have. Currency is very important because you're going to one day no longer put your money in the market, meaning your knowledge isn't going to be serving people. It's called retirement. So you're going to have enough currency. And that's important. And by the way, 99.9% of people around this world, repeating all the way around the world, that 0.9. Very few people know what I'm talking about here. But all of you, for the most part, know what I'm talking about here. Money is inherent, self-existent. No one can take it from you. But it needs coaching to nourish. Okay? It needs coaching to nourish. Currency is an artifact, meaning it is something we made up. It's an invention, and it's man-made. Money is God-given, but you still need to nourish it. Money and currency is an artifact and man-made, but it still needs nourishment and study. That's why so many of you are money coaches. Now, I say your sole purpose is money. And what I mean by that is, write money down the page, my own natural energy yield. That's what money is. Your money is your sole purpose. It is the natural talent and gifts that you must continue to cultivate, continue to nourish, continue to feed through this kind of work. That's why you're here. You're building your money right now so that you can go share it with more people, feel better by making a difference in those people's lives, and they pay you, and they pay you well. So your sole purpose is your money. Now, to that end, we've created something I want to share with you, which we call the Soul Purpose Toolkit. And what you get in the Soul Purpose Toolkit is everything you see in the picture down below, the Prosperity Paradigm book. You'll see there's an intention statement there specifically designed by us that hundreds and hundreds of people have used successfully to input prosperity beliefs and shift out of scarcity. You see in the center there, Soul Purpose Meditations. You see the gratitude journal, the SPI gratitude journal, where you wake up every morning and write down 3 to 5 things you're grateful for and keep a journal of it. You'll see you get a CD and a download of meditation music done by my dear friend Fred Johnson and my daughter Alicia and I. And then you see the intention statement card. That is $99. In the advanced course, you get everything in the basic course that I just said, plus the Soul Purpose online course, which by itself is $250. This whole advanced package is $250. You get the mind scan assessment that will show you all your cognitive bias you don't know that you have. You get a mind scan live review with a coach, and you get the Soul Purpose Discovery Metric that'll tell you which of the 8 soul purpose roles you are and get you playing your highest wealth game. So you get everything in the basic and everything in the advanced for $250. I just wanted to put that out there for you. And I'm going to give you the link, and the link is on the first page under the schedule of how to order the Soul Purpose Toolkit. It's really, really easy. Okay, so how do you shift from from scarcity to prosperity? What is the prosperity key? You know, I used to coach for many years Garrett Gunderson. Garrett's now a colleague and a good friend, and Garrett's gone on to build the Wealth Factory and become a multimillionaire. Just a great, great guy. Love Garrett and Carrie. And Garrett's been on many private retreats. I've been a guest in his home. He's been a guest in my home. And after the first year Garrett worked with me, he would always put things in terms of dollar amounts. He said, when you taught me in April, that was worth $100,000. So I always go by that because I think Garrett's a really smart guy, in many cases smarter than me. And I'm going to teach you prosperity. I'm going to teach you how to shift from scarcity. Anytime you're in scarcity or fear, how to get out of it and go right to mission or love mode, like this. And it works every time. Go to page 4 in your workbook, please. It starts out with awareness. So fill in that top blank on page 4, awareness. I'm going to explain it all in a minute. Awareness is a spiritual discipline based in developing your conscious mind, based in developing your higher self through meditation. The key to meditation is, it is the spiritual weightlifting tool. It's like weightlifting for the body is meditation for the mind. Okay? It builds your awareness. Then you get present. You get in the here and now. You don't get stuck worrying about the future. You don't get stuck in the past, dragging all this baggage. Oh, the reason I'm not abundant is because when I was 12 years old, no. You're here now, ready to take action on what you see going on in your brain. Releasing. I'm going to say this, that there's only 3 ways to deal with an upset. Okay? Only 3 ways to deal with it. The first way to deal with an upset is to repress the upset. And all of us have repressed things. And what happens is they go into our subconscious mind and they become like an open app in your brain, draining your brain constantly. You know how you have your phone and when you don't close the apps, and all of a sudden, why is my phone draining so fast? Well, I just charged it. It's only on 30%. And then you go, oh my gosh, I got 30 open apps. The open apps in your brain are repressed negative problems, issues, and challenges that have happened through your whole life. They're still running in your subconscious mind, draining you until you release and forgive them. So the first thing we do with an upset is we repress it. The second thing we do is react to it. Reactions are old actions done over and over, hoping to get a different result. And of course, we call that, insanity. Doing the same thing the same way day in, day out, expecting a different result, right? Or the third thing is release it to God or the universe, and then respond from your higher self using the power of intention. And the reason intention is so powerful is that intention is the sixth sense. It is your connecting link to God, and God is the frequency of love. Now I'm going to shift and show you this a little deeper. And as you look, you're writing this down on page 4, awareness in the first blank, and it shows you what that tool does. And presence, what does that tool do? And releasing is how you delete the scarcity program and get into the prosperity program. This is all on your page, in your handout. And intention is now creating the new program from a place of abundance and prosperity thinking and love. Let's go through it one more time. What is awareness? It is witnessing the internal conflict between your higher self that says, I can make these calls, I can invite these new people, and your lower self that says, oh, they're just going to reject you, don't bother. And so the mindset in awareness is, I see my inner conflict. In psychology, the inner conflict is called cognitive dissonance. And the problem that modern psychology has proven to us is that when we're in cognitive dissonance, typically what it does is it creates what we call paralysis by analysis. It paralyzes you because you're stuck in the mind thinking, but you've got two competing thoughts. Call them, don't call them, call them, call them. And what do you wind up doing? Well, I'll think about it. And you never do it. In our live workshops, we have an exercise where I prove this to people. I put one people on the side of the room doing one thing, another people on the side of the room doing another thing, and then I say, now do both. And everybody just stops and looks at me. That's what happens in your mind when you're in cognitive dissonance, unless you practice presence. So you'll see the inner conflict and awareness. Now, when you're present, you're here now, observing things clearly as they are. And what do? The mindset is, I'm here now, ready to take action from my higher self. I'm not lying to myself about the fact that I'm struggling. I'm not fantasizing that I'm not in a conflict. I'm saying, no, I'm conflicted. Right? Now, what do we do when I'm in the conflict? Actively release the negative thoughts and stories to God and the universe. I want everybody to take your hand. If you're right-handed, put it on your chest. If you're left-handed, put it on the center of your chest, and take the opposite hand, the non-dominant hand, and put it below your dominant hand. So I'm right-handed, it looks like this. And I'm sitting there, right? And imagine you're seeing something you don't want to see, right? We saw difficult situation occur in our country this week, right? Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to cleanse it. Ready? I surrender this to you, God. Repeat after me. I surrender this to you, God. Deep breath through the nose, exhale through the mouth. I surrender this to you, God. What are we surrendering? Our fear, our worry, our doubt that we're going to be okay as a country, as a nation. Again, I surrender this to you, God. Breath in through the nose. I surrender this to you, God. Again, say to yourself, I release this, I let go. And if you don't believe in God, say, I surrender this to the universe, because clearly you know there's a universe out there and that there are laws in this universe. As you release, you are then able to open up to a new intention. We stated that intention today. When I live my soul purpose, I am helping myself, my family, my community, my state, my country, and my world to grow, to move forward towards love, out of fear, out of the dark ages. We are witnessing, friends, the dark ages of the mental realm right now. Dark ages of the physical realm happened between, 1200 and 1500, 1600. The dark ages of the mental realm are right now. So what we're doing when we're releasing, and I'll allow you just to take a nice deep breath through the nose, exhale through the mouth, is in real time, you're seeing an upset. And instead of giving the upset your energy, you want to actively release the negative thoughts and stories to God and the universe. And your new mindset is, I am surrendering the lesser, meaning my fear, doubt, worry, and scarcity, for the greater love, faith, confidence, prosperity. Every time you release, you're letting go of a lesser, useless story to input a more useful, powerful, greater story. So that's a mindset. Releasing isn't surrender and run up the white flag and do nothing. No, it's a brilliant spiritual discipline. That's surrendering a lesser for a greater. If I said to you, give me $10, tomorrow I'm going to give you 100, and you trust me. You give me $10 and I give you 100 tomorrow. That's giving up a lesser for a greater. This is teaching you how Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see in the world. When you let go of your scarcity thoughts, you are opening up to greater abundant thoughts. Why does that happen? Because nature, the law of vacuum in nature says, nature does not allow a vacuum to exist in this world. Nature will always fill in when something is cleared out. If you don't believe me, clear out a closet. Get rid of all your old clothes. I'll come back in a month. There'll be all new clothes there. 25 years ago in the northwest of the United States, Mount St. Helens exploded and flattened every tree within 100 miles. There was nothing there. It was complete space. Everything had been erased. You go back there today, it's a forest of the most fertile trees and plants and animals. Nature filled it in. So when you release and create this opening, what then happens is a new reality drops in based in your intention statement. So intention is the I in April in which you create a new reality that is in alignment with your mission, which is why I had that last question in the breakout, is to declare your mission to everybody and help each other, for those that didn't know it, to create one. And the mindset is, I am the language I speak. My words become my world. When you become mission driven, you're speaking a complete new language. People hear me speak that are in the lower modes and think I'm crazy. Or they laugh, oh, this new age rhetoric. Yeah, it is a new age. It is. It's the age of service. We are transforming each other into a higher possibility through our soul purpose. So you're speaking a new language, and those words are shared with others. And you're doing that out of love, which is not the old definition of love as an emotion, but this new definition of love that we talk about, which is a choice and a way of being in the world, choosing to express the greatest version of your higher self. And I'm going to put it in business terminology because we're going to be turning the corner and doing this in a business capacity after our next exercise. So love, the mindset of love, is not, oh, let me go hug a tree, right? The mindset of love is, I choose to serve other people. I choose to leave others valuable experiences. Because what I recognize, friends, is that in conscious capitalism, we're exchanging with people, and we're doing it consciously. And that business then becomes a practice of power, in which my job is to help you get off this call and feel more powerful, more capable, knowing exactly what your KPIs are to achieve the goals you set last month with no excuses. And when you do that, you'll be creating value for others, and your goal will be leaving others valuable experiences consistently, and they're going to resist. And they're going to resist, and it's going to create conflict in you. And when you're aware of the conflict, get into the here and now, surrender the conflict to God, restate your intention statement. I make a phenomenal difference in the lives of everyone I meet. I offer the most valuable and life-altering products and services people can get. Everyone needs what I offer. I no longer take rejection personally. I am on my sole purpose mission, and the success I am seeking is also seeking me. That is an intention statement that I wrote 30 years ago. It changed my life. And so that is what I'm expressing with you. I'm expressing for my higher self. You're going to do the same thing. Now, let me slow down. Many of you know this intellectually, but you are not doing it experientially to the degree, because you are not doing your KPIs. You are not tracking your key performance indicators, and you do not know what they are. Now, in a longer workshop, I would help you self-discover them. Today, I'm going to just give them to you. I'm going to give you 4 KPIs we all share to expedite it. Now, the danger is if you don't experience it and you get it up here, you may not do it. You know, there's a big difference between hearing about how good a cheese pizza might taste and actually eating a cheese pizza. It tastes really good. Once you experience it, you know it. When you only hear about it, you don't know it. You've only heard about it. So this is a big shift, okay? So April is the prosperity key. You will become aware of your cognitive dissonance. You must get in the present moment and do something about it. If you do nothing, you'll repress and react. What do? Release it. Then you respond to that event through responsibility by saying your intention statement. You've released the lower self negative statement that's going in your brain whenever we're upset. You're releasing scarcity. And then you're affirming prosperity paradigm. And prosperity, the difference between abundance, abundance is something you have. Prosperity is something you are. It's a state of being. And then you emanate action. You take action to serve people. How? By leaving them value, by leaving others valuable experiences. How do you do that? Ask them what they need and want in the meeting with you. People are actually really smart in that way. They know what they want. They don't know what they need. Ask them what they were hoping to accomplish by meeting with you. Just slow down. Asking better questions is a key point to this new transformational revolution. In the old information age, in the scientific revolution, we used what I call the dominator model, in which we had to come in and kind of control the meeting and tell and sell and tell people, I'm smarter than you. I have all the knowledge. Aren't you lucky to have me in your life? I did it. Nobody's fault. But that's pride mode. In mission mode, we lead with intention and we ask better questions and find out what they value and help them co-create the value proposition. Then we simply give them what they asked for and we allow people to buy. People love to buy, but hate being sold. That's why how to implement your consciousness in a way by doing, but how to nourish, not implement. how to nourish and increase your consciousness by doing what I call the Prosperity Power Hour. This morning, my Prosperity Power Hour was only 20 minutes. It was not a full hour. Normally it is, but because of the workshop and the symposium, it was a little abbreviated, but I still did it. Here's what the Prosperity Power Hour is. You're devoting at least 10 minutes. Start out with 10 minutes at least every day. The first 10 minutes or half hour of your day to manage your mind. Mental exercise. You say your affirmations. We did it this morning. You say an intention statement specifically created by your coach for you. It is individualized to your goals, to your issues, to your cognitive biases, to cure them, to your soul purpose role, to bring that out. Everybody has a different soul purpose role on this planet. You do your meditation. You read something inspirational, not business, not a business book. You do some exercise. Even if you only do a stretching, a 5-minute yoga thing, which is all I had time for this morning. Cancel error thought. By the way, I just released something when I said cancel error thought. I said had time. It's all I created the time for this morning. Okay? And you want to journal in your gratitude journal to visualize and mentally rehearse your day, because when you're in gratitude, you're opening up for more abundance. When you're in scarcity, you're not grateful for anything. You're vibrating scarcity. All you can attract is scarcity. When you do your gratitude journal, you're vibrating appreciation and abundance, and God gives you more abundance. People in scarcity actually experience fear, desire, and pride. They live in a world that is a really difficult world. They feel like the world is conspiring against them. When you go into mission and love mode, you experience a universal conspiracy to succeed because of your own frequency and vibration. If you vibrate hate, what else could you have come back at you but hate? If you vibrate love, what else could come back but love? That's why you're doing your power hour. If you're not doing it, you're missing something big, because scarcity is a permanent feature in the physical world. Prosperity only exists in the metaphysical world, in the world of your mind. And if you're not managing your mind, what will you default to? Scarcity. So the Prosperity Power Hour is just kind of a clever label I gave it. Actually, Garrett and I gave it. The Power Hour concept came from Reverend Schuller from the Crystal Cathedral. He's since passed away, but I used to watch him many, many years ago. And he used to call it the Power Hour, where people would pray in the morning. And we still see in the Judeo-Christian world that devotional time, but very few people do it. When you're doing this, you're doing an ancient ritual that our ancestors learned help us align with our creative self, with our God self. And it puts you in confidence and in power. And you need power in a world that's out there to take your power. That's the physical world. It's a world of scarcity. When the supply chain broke down this year around paper products and ammunition and food at the beginning of the pandemic, you couldn't get it, because the real condition of scarcity took over because the supply chain broke down. That supply chain was created by people's minds. So you want to make sure we're going to be going into creating an ideal week for you. You need an ideal week this year. Your life has changed. You've set some new goals in December. You can't run last year's ideal week. Part of your ideal week must be at least 10 minutes, if not a half an hour. I suggest a half an hour. You can't do all this in just 10 minutes. But if you can only do one thing, do your affirmations and your meditation. because you are knowledge workers and your mind must be coming from a place of the higher self every day. I don't wake up in my higher self every single day. 360 days a year I do, but 5 days a year, I wake up down. I wake up in my lower self. I do. You know why? I'm human. Right? We've always kept it real, haven't we? So on those days, that's when I really need to say my affirmation and intention. That's when I really need to meditate. And those days is when I struggle to do it. Now, some of you are waking up 100 days happy and 265 unhappy. I'm sorry. That's why April will be so important. That's why being in your Prosperity Power Hour is everything right now. Because your inner world is creating the outer world. And this, when you're doing your Power Hour, helps you awaken the highest realm of potential, helps you establish from your individual efforts to an infinite connection. You know, the computer is an individual device that is tied into an infinite device called the World Wide Web. It is a metaphor for your individual consciousness tying into infinite consciousness, what we call God, the field of knowing, the infinite intelligence that permeates every atom in this universe and in the multiverse. So when you're doing this model, notice I went from talking about soul purpose to mission-driven model, because we're going to be turning this from the inner world right now, where we are teaching you how to build that prosperity mindset, to the outer world where you're taking action and tracking your activity using KPIs. And this is showing you how you're accessing this higher realm of potential. The lowest realm of potential is the physical realm. How does it show up? Animal mind, animal instinct. We see animal instinct take over in people every day. They're hurting each other and they're yelling and screaming. It's awful, right? That's the physical realm. Then we see the mental realm, where 95% of you are stuck right now. You're stuck in the mind. The Prosperity Power Hour, April, will help you get out of the thinking mind. What is the thinking mind? Ego. Some good, some bad. Constantly in conflict. Call him, don't call him. Ask him for a referral, don't ask him for a referral. Do the marketing plan, don't do the marketing plan. This is the mental realm. When you get up here, though, in the spiritual realm, you're in the aware mind. You identify yourself differently. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. In the mental realm, when you're doing your spiritual disciplines, you're a human being having a spiritual experience. In the spiritual realm, you are a spiritual being having a human experience. And you can look down from the pure light of awareness onto your thoughts, and you can see them conflicting, and you can release the conflict through April to God and focus on your intention and go love people by serving and inviting them to your practice. Make sense? Yes? Now you do that through this awareness practice, through April, through your Power Hour, and you increase your consciousness. And what is consciousness? It's not like in the hospital, they go, oh, the guy passed out, he's unconscious. Oh, now he came back too, he's conscious. That's not what I'm talking about. Not the medical definition. I'm talking about the spiritual definition, which is this. Consciousness is being aware. And I want you to write this down. I want you to hear it first, take it in, then write it down. Consciousness is being aware of the disconnect between what you really want, right? That's your goals. And what you're doing or not doing to get it. Consciousness is pure light of truth. It's the God self saying, Steve, you set this goal and you're not doing it. You're just not doing it. Man, have I been there 1,000 times. But you know what? Over the last 15, 20 years, as I got up higher on the stairway, continued to practice April, continued to reach out to more people. All of a sudden, the goals came in closer, closer. Then I exceeded my goal. And now consistently we're reaching our goals. Why? Because we're practicing consciousness. We're practicing mastery of the evolution of our awareness and our consciousness. Consciousness is the awareness of being, in which you're being aware of the disconnect between what you really want and what you're doing or not doing to get it. So some of you are talking the talk, but you're not walking the talk. Now, most of you on this call, I don't know all of you, but for those of you that now are saying to yourself, a great truth is, I'm talking the talk, but I'm not walking the talk. Got it. That's a subtle form of pride mode. Okay? You have what I call the feminine ego. The feminine pride, no one's ever talked about this. It's something I'm writing about now, which is the masculine ego is the normal version of ego, the self-inflated self, right? The loud, brash, arrogant, look at me, I'm great, I'm smart, I know this, I know that, right? That's the typical masculine ego. It's self-inflating, self-aggrandizing. The feminine ego is self-deflating, self-negating. It tells you negative stories about you and pulls you down very subtly. It's a very subtle form of pride. It's the inner saboteur that sabotages you. It's the inner critic that says, don't even bother. You're not blank enough, whatever it is. Smart enough, have enough college degrees, eloquent enough. So you're going to become conscious of those things. You will see them. Those are the disconnects that prevent you from doing what you need to do to get your goal. That's why we're talking directly to the spiritual self, directly to your soul purpose. Why we created the soul purpose toolkits. Okay, so now we're going to move into the second exercise, exercise 2. Okay, which is April, the prosperity key. You're on page 4. There's some questions at the bottom of the page. Again, you kind of know the drill. Liz is going to put you into groups of 3 or 4 or 5, right? You're going to answer one at a time and then discuss the following. How might your business and your life change if you did a daily power hour over the next year, faithfully, 5 days out of 7 at least? What does meditation do that no other discipline can accomplish? Like a lot of you tell me, well, I pray every day. Look, I love prayer, but that's not meditating. Prayer is speaking to God and putting your order into the universe as a frequency. Meditation is listening to God, connecting to God. So few people believe in God because they're not connected. Explain, April, the third question, and its importance to maintain prosperity and transcend scarcity. Okay, so you're going to go back into your groups. It's a 20-minute exercise. We're going to go from 10 minutes after the hour, 12:10 Eastern time. Okay. Oh, I'm over. That's okay. We're going to go into, for the next 20 minutes, do your exercise. Ready, set, go. So if you're still coming back in, here's what we want to do. We want to go to page 8, action steps, and write out a takeaway from exercise 2 in the appropriate blank for you. So you want to go to page 8, your action step page, find the right blank and write down a takeaway from this exercise for you. This is so critical. I know a lot of people come to this symposium and they're like, all right, I got to build my business. I got to build my business. I'm telling you, we are right on track to building your business. We're going to end with some KPIs and some big stuff for you. So we're on something really important. Though it may not feel like it to you in a pragmatic way, I promise we are. So you're going to page 8, action steps, and write down a takeaway from this exercise. And I'm going to talk about the action step menu, some ideas that I want to talk about for you. You know, one thing is really practicing hard easy. One of the things that I'm doing in the writing of this new book is I'm talking about hard easy because I didn't talk about it in Prosperity Paradigm. But practicing hard easy by committing to a 1-degree key activity shift. That might be something you really want to think about. If every day you're saying to yourself, what can I point to today that I did where I practiced hard easy around a key performance activity indicator? If I can't point to that, like one of the things I'm going to tell you, some of you are excellent at getting referrals, but I will tell you that most of you are not good at it. If there was a key activity shift, it's about planting and reaping, sowing and reaping referral seeds for each and every one of you. We have an excellent referral program inside of Mission Driven Advisor. So if you're struggling with that and you need help, please ask for it. But that's a key activity shift. Saying your intention statement daily to cultivate a mission-driven mindset. Key. Okay? These are some action steps you might be putting in there. I'm going to talk about MDA scorecards, but I gave you an MDA scorecard. I would ask you to print out 20 of them and put them in a workbook and commit to keep score for a month. Only 1 month. I'm not going to ask you to do it for any more than a month, but every work day for a month to keep score, okay? To close the gap every day to create tomorrow's plan today. You don't know what I'm talking about, many of you, some of you do. I'm going to talk about it in the next slide, what closing the gap is. And committing to track your KPIs for the next month and watch what happens. These are some very pragmatic action steps that I want you to understand and see. You're going to get, again, all these slides. But this is really key stuff, okay? What is the gap? So you set goals last month, okay? Very pragmatic goals in this workshop, at least, right? We did this December 4th, but I'm pretty sure almost all of you have your goals set. And that's called your ideal production. That's what you're trying. Those are goals that you will accomplish if you have an ideal year. That's on the right, ideal production. But then there's reality. That's called your actual production. And in between those two things is a space. It is a permanent feature of the physical world. It is part of scarcity. It's called the gap. What is the gap? My nickname is the guaranteed assassin of production. And I know because I lived there for years and years where I would set goals and rarely accomplish them. I set big goals and didn't accomplish them. And you know why? I lived in the gap. So what is this and why is hard easy important? The gap is the cognitive dissonance in your brain, the resistance to practice hard easy that accounts for the disparity, the space between your actual production and your ideal production. So you've got to be learning how to close the gap, and it's something that needs to be in your ideal week as a KPI, as a key performance indicator. Closing the gap is a huge, huge aspect of KPIs. So I want you to go to page 8, action steps, and write down a takeaway in the appropriate blank, because I'm going to go back to this slide right here. Here's 5 action steps that are really critical. Are you keeping score? Are you closing the gap every day? Are you tracking your KPIs? Are you saying a daily intention statement? Are you practicing hard easy by committing to a 1-degree activity shift? Now you're going to go to page 8 and you're going to take a takeaway, and one of them better be closing the gap. That is a KPI, because I'm telling you, if you don't close it, you are stuck in it. Those that don't close the gap are in the gap. I do it every day. It's one of my KPIs. And it's a habit. I don't even have to think about it anymore. It's like I can't even leave the office until I've done it, truly. So now you're going to page 8, right? And you're going to write down a takeaway in the appropriate blank, and it might be one of those things, or it might be something else, but it better be closing the gap, one of them. Okay? I'm going to take another minute and then we're going to move. I'm really hoping that closing the gap, it might be one of the most important business activities. It could be a happiness activity. It could be an inner peace activity. For me, it's inner peace. Now, if you already filled that gap, put it somewhere else. Okay, let's move on and let's go to page 5. And we're going to do this exercise now. This is going to be a guided exercise that we're going to do together. And it's really matching your goals with an action plan. And what I'm going to do is, you see page 5 there. I'm going to ask you each question. And then I want you to answer it as it best applies for you today, given the goals that you have today. Okay, because you've got different goals. And it's, of course, creating your ideal week, page 5, exercise 3. So let's start out with, how many meetings would be optimal for you to have in an ideal week? So last year it might have been 15. This year it might be 12. How many meetings would be optimal for you to have in an ideal week? Write that down, please. How many opens do you plan on doing in an ideal week? And what is an open? It is an opportunity to create value for either a new client or additional value, new value for an existing client. So an open might also be an annual review, as long as you're spotting additional value that you want to share with that upcoming client. So an open is an opportunity to create value for a new client, and that should be 2/3 of the time, and 1/3 of the time should be additional value for an existing client via maybe an annual review. So how many opens do you plan on doing in an ideal week? How many cases do you plan on closing in an ideal week? Now, for those of you that are not financial advisors, how many pieces of business do you plan on closing in an ideal week? My suggestion is there should be at least 1, if not 3 opens in an ideal week. If you're new to the business, it should be 8. It should be 8 to 10 if you're brand new. But if you've been in the business as an advisor at least 5 years, it should be 3. If you're an advisor that's only working with 8 clients, charging fees somewhere between $2,500 and $10,000, it's probably 1 a week. But get clear about how many opens, and then get clear about how many cases you plan on closing, how many pieces of business you plan on closing in an ideal week. Which is, we have a question, I guess I'll take it. Go ahead. Yeah, so the difference, someone asked the question, what is the difference between an open and a meeting? Okay. We have a 4-step process in Mission Driven Advisor. Meeting 1 is called the open. Meeting 4 is called the close. I'm answering this very shortly because it could be a long answer. But it might take you 4 or 5 meetings to close one piece of business. So let's say it takes you 4 meetings with a client, new client, from open to close that piece of business, okay? That would mean an ideal week would probably be 12 total meetings with 3 new opens with 4 steps in the process. So a meeting is all the other meetings you have to do. We have every step in our process labeled. Meeting 1 is called Trust Builder. That's the open. Meeting 2 is called Value Creator. Meeting 3 is called Prosperity Activator. Meeting 4 is called Wealth Implementer, where you implement the wealth for them, pay for the piece of business, they write you a check. You implement the business, okay? So those other 3 meetings come after the open. So the open is meeting 1. The other 3 meetings in our process, and it's never only always 4. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 6. With complicated cases, it can be 5 or 6. With simpler cases, it might be 2 or 3. So that's the difference between a meeting and an open. Okay, let's keep moving. Great question, by the way. What is the average profit or premium of each of these cases? For instance, if you're working 40 weeks this year and you're closing 40 pieces of business, 1 case a week, and the average premium is $5,000, then your goal would be $200,000. If your average premium's $20,000 over 40 cases, that's $800,000. Quite different. But what is the average premium or profit made? 2 very different things. Some of you, Mass Mutual counts it in FYC, first year commission. Guardian counts it in premium. New York Life counts it differently. Penn Mutual counts it differently. Some of you are not in the insurance business. Some of you are you're in the marketing business, but tailor this question to your own practice. It wouldn't be cases per week. It would be pieces of business per week, sales per week. What is the average size of the sale? What is the average profit made? How many referrals do you plan on receiving in an ideal week? How many referrals? In an ideal, remember this is ideal, because there's actual and then there's ideal. You set high goals. How are you getting clients other than referrals? If the only way you're getting clients, this should be a pretty clear number. You want to be clear about this number. How much daily telephone time over how many days do you need to do in an ideal week? And this is X hours, X days a week. I would say for all of you, it should be something. Now, some of you aren't doing this activity, but most of you are. I would say 1 hour, 1 to 2 hours, 3 days a week. 1 to 2 hours, 3 days a week. I don't care where you are in your practice. If you were doing this, truly, think about what would occur in your life. Even if you've been in your practice a long time. I've been in my practice 30 years now. Number 8, how much time do you need to allot daily for doing tomorrow's plan? And when in the day do you plan on doing it? So this is that closing the gap activity, okay? How much time do you need to allot daily for tomorrow's plan? This is closing the gap. You must plan today for tomorrow, because if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. So when are you going to close the gap in the day? Closing the gap is a key performance indicator. I'm telling you, not many people know that. I've never seen anybody write it in a key performance indicator exercise, and I've done it many times in large groups of people. So I only really need 10 minutes. But when you're starting out doing it, you probably need a half hour. So when is that half hour going to occur? 4 to 4:30, 4:30 to 5, 6 to 6:30, when? Do you plan on exercising, and when? I believe physical exercise and mental exercise is every bit as key to living your soul purpose as any other KPI. I really do. And the reason we're doing these things, okay, is you are setting up 9 events, 9 or 10 events, because time management, we're going to time block in a minute. Time management is event management first and time blocking second. And people think time management, many people's time management skills on this call are good, but many people think that time management is time blocking. It's not. Time management is event. I want you to write this down, please. Just humor me and write this down. Time management, I'm writing it too. Time management is event management first and time blocking second. Why? Because I see people good at time blocking, but they time block the wrong events. These are the right events, friends. So we're going through the events that will help you create the right ideal week. And finally, managing your mind is doing a daily prosperity power hour, developing a mission-driven mindset, important in your ideal week. And if yes, when would you do it? And again, this is ideally 7 to 7:30, 7:30 to 8, 6 to 6:30. But I'll tell you right now, if it's not scheduled, it won't get done. If it's not scheduled, it won't get done. Now we're going to move, okay? Exercise 3B, time blocking your ideal week. This is just below. This is a solo exercise. You just identified your key event goals. Now, let's time block them. You're going to do it yourself. I'm just going to pause for a moment and stay on camera. We're only going to take 3 minutes and do this. This should not take a long time. Now, let's time block them into your ideal week. You have your meetings. You have your opens. You have closing the gap. You have exercise. You have a power hour. Now time block them. You have phone work as well. When are you going to exercise? When are you going to meditate? When are you ideally going to do your meetings? This is going to affect your team. Some of you are here with your teams. Good on you. Now they will know your calendar. They will not ask you to get in your calendar when you don't have time allotted because you've done an ideal week and they know it. They know you're only doing 12 meetings a week. It's awesome. Or whatever it is, the number for you. So I'm going to be quiet now. We're going to take 1 more minute here. So be finishing up this exercise. I'm going to give you a little coaching here. One of my suggestions is do not do prospecting or referral gathering phone work on Mondays. Please do not be doing, if you put it in there on Monday, I've learned that prospects don't want to receive prospecting calls on Monday. They want to get back into their own business week. And I'm also going to say that I would ask you to do 1 or 2 hours, 3 days a week, first thing in the morning, because you're fresh. Now, if you're a night owl, then do them in the afternoon, because your afternoon is everybody else's morning. Okay. So, and you can practice hard easy in your week by saying my hard days are my prospecting days. From 10 to 12, I'm doing prospecting calls Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So you have 3 hard days and 4 easy days. And this way you get emotional and mental rest. That's important to give yourself. Now, if you like prospecting on Monday and you say, Steve, that works for me, God bless you. You know your ideal week. It's why it's yours. You might put in my hard days are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. From 10 to 12, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm making my prospecting calls. Terrific. Take 30 more seconds, and then we're going to move on. Okay, everybody. I want you to turn to page 6. And this is a scorecard I created for one of my individual clients. And I'm going to ask you to think about making this. Now, some of you keep score online, and that's terrific. I've learned, I'm a kind of old school. I like when I read books, I have a Kindle and I have many books on it, but I love old school. I love feeling the paper. And there's a lot of data behind this that says when you're doing something that is realistic, time-based, repeatable, holdable, linear, it changes how you do it. If you do everything in the computer, it becomes a wash. So notice all these things on the left. My day began by creating a mission-driven mindset, including reading my intention. That's a 1. I developed today's game plan before I went to the office. You give yourself a 1. I closed the gap, 1. I scheduled new opens, or I worked on it, 1. Notice the opposite. I didn't have a game plan. I didn't read my intention. I fell in the gap. I made no prospecting calls. That would be a 0. I scheduled an opening appointment. I sowed and reaped referral seeds. I received a referral today. I did a client meeting and scheduled their next appointment today. Those things all lead to taking applications and paying for business or picking up a check. And notice what those two are. They're 5s. Those are the reward. Taking applications, writing business, and picking up checks and getting paid, those are called lag indicators. Lag is what happens after you do what are called lead indicators in your KPIs. Key performance indicators fall in 2 categories, lead and lag. Lag are what happens after you do the lead indicators. 1 through 8 are lead indicators. Managing your mind, having a game plan, closing the gap, scheduling new opens, booking new opens, sowing and reaping referrals, getting referrals, doing client meetings, scheduling the next appointment, never walking out of a client meeting without them knowing what's next. If you do this, right, and the action step was print out 20 of them, put them in a workbook. For the next month, from January 8th to February 10th, you're going to complete one of these. Now, I know some of you are going to say, well, Steve, I don't need it. I don't want it. I'm telling you, it's just my loving challenge to you. It's an opportunity. So that's what the scorecard's about. And I know that makes sense to you. Now, again, go to page 8, please. Action steps. Write down a takeaway from exercise 3 in the right blank. You might say, I am committed to planting referral seeds in every meeting. I didn't say asking for referrals in every meeting. I don't. Those of you that work with me know I don't. But I plant referral seeds in many of them. Many of you have given me referrals. And if you haven't, I'm open to it. And when you're done with that, I want you to turn to page 7. And I want to talk about what I call the MDA, Mission Driven Advisor, event continuum. These are the 4 events that I think of as KPIs for everybody I know. And this is practicing stewardship of them. You cannot steward what you do not own. You're a business owner, you own your own business, every one of you. You have a strategic partner in that business, which is the company that you place business with. Some of you have many companies you place business with. Some of you have a prime company you place business with. But every one of you, I have found, If you focus on these 4 KPIs, these 4 events just keep going round and round, and that's why they're a continuum, they're a circle, okay? The first is daily planning to organize tomorrow's activities, including closing the gap. This is a KPI. This is a key performance indicator, because if you don't close the gap, you're in it, and it never closes itself. It's one of the key prosperity paradigm activities. Few people do it. That's why they live in the gap and why they live in scarcity. So if you're constantly closing the gap every day, you're looking out, you might this week, let's say your ideal week is 12 meetings a week, okay? You look at this week, you got 12. You look at next week, you got 5. Doesn't that happen to you? I know it happens to me. My ideal week is 20. But I got to tell you, it's rare. And I love when I don't have 20 because I get an extra hour. It's true. But I almost always have that 20 because I close the gap every day. Second activity, inviting and meeting with people to serve them unique value. I said unique value, not common value. Selling life insurance feels like common value to people. Using protection first strategies that compound wealth and increase retirement income free from banks who want to keep and take your money and use it, that's way different. So I said unique value. That's inviting and meeting with people. That is having some sort of process that prospects to invite new people and meet with them to serve them your value. The third is referrals, but really it's methodically using some form of leveraging system to bring new people to your offer. Now we use a lot of different things: social media, symposiums, online symposiums, back to live symposiums, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But this third thing, this is huge. How are you getting new clients? If you don't know a definitive answer, you have a major problem because you're not focusing on a key performance indicator. So you would be planting referral seeds in every meeting, or you'd be doing marketing, or hiring a marketing company, or writing your book, or doing online symposiums. There's many, many ways to do it. But the best, most powerful way you can do it is committing to a process to garner, to plant, sow and reap personal introductions, referral seeds. And the final KPI is using technology to enroll those new names, those new people into your sales funnel. Now, I really like calling it a value creation funnel, but people don't know what I'm talking about when I use that terminology, but I'm kind of rewriting that terminology. So the first KPI is closing the gap and having a plan every day. The second is prospecting and inviting and creating value, because dollars follow value. The third is referrals or marketing. And the fourth is using technology to get those new people back into your plan. So you can see 1 leads to 2, 2 leads to 3, 3 leads to 4, 4 leads back to 1. And the mission continues. The events go on and on. So go to page 8 and write down a final takeaway in the final blank. Only you know what that is for you. It might be, I commit to keep score every day for the next month and only the next month. And I truly give myself permission to not keep score when I'm done with 1 month. Really give yourself permission. And again, if we can help you in any way with the toolkits, there is somebody you know that needs this. Maybe some young person, somebody you're mentoring. Maybe it's you, maybe it's your wife, maybe it's your son or daughter, maybe it's your brother, maybe it's your friend. It's a great way to start out with a year. There's the link to start a new year, to start a new life. The last thing I want to do is thank you. You are a huge difference maker in this world. You are a conscious capitalist, and that is important. I want to also let you know and invite you to our next symposium, which is live in Rochester, New York. I am holding that we are beating this pandemic, that those of you that have access to taking the vaccine will take it. I encourage you to take it. If it violates any of your sensibilities, then you know what to do. But please join us for our next live symposium in Rochester, New York, and write these dates down. June 22nd and 23rd, 2021. It's at a beautiful hotel in Rochester. We have our jazz festival. We're going to be opening back up. I miss you all. I care for you all. We all do. We'd love to see you there. Look forward to giving you a handshake and a hug, or maybe it's just going to be a fist bump. But either way, write that down in your workbook, and we'll give you more details about what that symposium's about in the next month or two. Thank you for your presence here today. God bless you. Stay safe, stay well, and I hope you have the best year ever. Goodbye.